Hey, Bruce Naylor of the Boomer Consumer. Thanks so much for watching. This is going to be a fun episode, I think, because it's all about the S.M.S.L PL100 desktop CD player. You know, this is a budget-friendly device. It sells for a little over $100. I got a link down below in the description if you're interested in learning more about it. But with solid aluminum construction, doesn't break the bank. And look, if you've got a CD collection, maybe you've not listened to in a while, this is a great way to do it. And if you notice, the price of vinyl is getting just astronomically high and out of reach now for a lot of people. And they're turning back to CDs, which you can still get inexpensively. So let's talk a little bit more about the S.M.S.L PL100. Let's get a few things out of the way first. This is an aluminum casing on here, and it's very, very solid. Weighs about 2.6 pounds, and it measures about 6.7 by, or about 6.3 by about 6.7 inches, and just a little over an inch and a half tall. So it does not take up a whole lot of room. It's a slot loader, which is, I think, better than a drawer. It's quieter in operation. Basic controls on the front. You've got your, pause, eject, play, forward, backwards, and then a couple for volume, because not only is it's a CD player, but it also has a headphone amplifier built in, and we're going to talk about that in just a moment. The overall design, now some people don't like the graphic on the front. It is a matter of personal taste. You can set it on its side, or you can put it on its feet. It does have 4 rubber feet. I tend to put it this way. This is so handy for so many different potential setups, whether you want to put it in your home rig, your stereo, whether you want to use it on a desktop. It's really, really lends itself, I should say, it really lends itself to a whole variety of applications. Now, I'll tell you how I use it. I'm using it with the spit-off outputs, which we're going to cover here in a second, going into my reference DAC for at the moment, which is a topping D70 Pro Sabre Edition. And that in turn feeds a headphone amplifier. The Hi-Fi Man Prelude, as a matter of fact. So yeah, that's my application for it, because this is a great way for testing headphones, DACs, that kind of thing, because it really does work that well. Let's take a look at the backside, the business end of this CD player. And essentially, you get coaxial output, you get an optical output, headphone jack, and then, of course, your RCA connections, and then there is a USB-C connection for power. Now let's talk about that. It does not ship with its own power supply. And I tried a couple phone chargers that I have. They're 5-volt 2 amp. Did not really power this thing correctly, adequately. It just simply wouldn't work. The power light came on, but it just refused to really work. You have to have 2.4 amp. So 5-volt 2.4 amp is what you really need in order to make this thing work. So, and I've got a link to one of those in the description down below. They're like 10 bucks. It's not bad. Now, as far as the headphone jack is concerned, it's a 3.5 millimeter jack on there. And because this uses, and I wrote this down, the CES 131 DAC chip, amplifier chip, which is a good, basically sounding little DAC. There's really nothing wrong with it. I listened to some headphones with it. They didn't get, don't use power-hungry headphones with it. It's really not going to power those, like, those power-hungry planars or, no. But basic dynamic driver headphones or IEMs, you should drive them just fine. The sound was good, and there was really no problem. Maybe a little warm, but not too bad whatsoever. But I don't really use it that way. I'm using it as a transport. And I think that's where this shines, as a transport. Besides, with a headphone jack in the back, that's horribly inconvenient. I don't see a lot of people using headphones with these. And besides that, it's not portable. It doesn't run on batteries anyway. So you have that. Now, because you have spit-off, the max resolution can output is 24-bit 192 kilohertz. But because it just reads in CDs, No, there you go. Now, MQA, it does not actually decode MQA. However, it just passes a pure digital stream. So if you have a DAC, let's say, that can decode MQA, then you're in business. Really didn't see much anything about DSD on there, nor does it play SACDs. That being said, right, did not notice a lot of problems with things like jitter or anything like that with it. So it performed very, very well. I mean, you do get a signal to noise ratio of like 110 dB. So, you know, for $100, and we got to keep this price in mind, but it actually serves as a CD transport for me and does a pretty doggone good job. As far as, let's talk about audio performance for a little bit, because that's really, really important. I'm a believer that a CD player shouldn't add any type of coloration to the sound, and this does not. It absolutely does not. It's very, very clean. It's not overly bright. We'll talk about that here in a moment as well. Anyhow, so the way I tested this, the way I tested the S.M.S.L PL100 was, again, as a CD transport connected to a topping D70 Pro Sabre Dac, which is connected to a Hi-Fi Man Prelude headphone amplifier, and using the Hi-Fi Man HE1000 headphones. What a fantastic set of headphones. And I want to share a couple albums that I tested with. First off, Patricia Barber and what is the, Cafe Blue. Some people say this is an audiophile type of recording. Here's what I think. This is the music on here, her music, on this particular CD is the kind where you want to sit back in the evening, dim down the lights a little bit, have your favorite adult beverage, and let the music just carry you away. It's melodic, it's brooding at times. It can be, at times, maybe a little lively, but mostly it's just so relaxing to listen to this CD. And it's the kind of music you want to listen to beginning to end. And it sounded absolutely delicious. It really did with this setup that I have. It sounded pretty good with my my headphones. I had some Audio-Technica dynamic driver headphones that I listened to, and it sounded very, very good. But it definitely sounded better with my reference DAC and so forth, the HE1000s. But what a great album. Now another one, I'm a big Jerry Rafferty fan, and every time I hear the tune Baker Street, I just get a chill down my spine every time that I hear that. And right down the line, wonderful, wonderful song. These are some of, I think, some of his best work. If you don't have a copy of City to City, I highly recommend that you get one. As far as the built-in sound with headphones, it's clean, it's detailed. May struggle a little bit with higher impedance headphones, so just bear that in mind. I think a lot of people will probably use this as a relatively inexpensive transport. Yes, let's talk about the remote control. Let me see if we can get it up there. This is kind of a typical S.M.S.L remote. A lot of these buttons have no function whatsoever, but you know, you can do the things like eject, play, pause, put in your track number, and if you're listening through headphones, you have volume control, power off and on, mute. That's basically it. A lot of these other buttons don't really do anything. Let's talk about the pros and cons. Pros, affordable price point, $106. How are you going to go wrong on that? You do have to supply your own power supply on here. It's got a pretty decent little DAC. Cirrus Logic makes pretty good stuff. You got some nice output options, optical, coax, and RCA. It's got a nice compact size to it, and yeah, I think it's going to be pretty durable. I like the slot loading on there. Cons. Well, we've talked about the headphone situation. I think at least move the headphone jack to the front of the unit. The remote control, it's not great, but it'll do the job. The power supply, remember, if you've got the 5-volt 2 amp, it's probably not going to work. You need 2.4 amp to make it work. I wish that it had a USB output on here, but it does not. So, nor can you use it for streaming or anything like that. It's a CD player transport. That's what it is. If you want a well-made CD player, budget-friendly, that performs very, very well, especially as a transport, well, I think this is going to fit your needs. I really, really do. I'm very pleased with it, and I think you would be too. Definitely keep it on your short list. The S.M.S.L PL100. And that is it. Bruce Naylor, the Boomer Consumer. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.